we're out now with the Abbey Sprayer. You probably haven't seen the Abbey Sprayer in a while, and I haven't used it in a while, that's why. Mainly down to weather reasons. This year just was not a year for spraying. We had a crap spring. I don't know where you're from, but here in Ireland we had a crap spring and we couldn't really do anything. Everything was done late. Even the fertiliser put out for the first cut was done late. But now I'm hoping with a good autumn, 26 degrees is given the day, that when it cools down about 8 or 9 o'clock tonight, I'll get about 5 acres done. I'll do a few fields each evening. I'm going to go behind the cows, and I'm also going to go onto our silage ground as well and try to really hit them Dawkins, which have got away with more this last while, put it that way. I'm going through it now, just checking it over. I washed it all down, cleaned it all up. I have a wee thing that I do with my sprayer. Some people say it's a waste of time, others say it's a good job. Everybody's different, but I break my sprayer down now. I've learned in the past that just taking a few minutes to break a thing down saves you having to put parts into it, which I have had to do in the past. But things like taking the end caps off all the pipes, taking the filters out, which are 3 filters in this Abbey, 1, 2 and 3. I take them out as well, and I loosen out every single joint. So all them joints are all loose at the minute. Every single one of them needs to be tightened. End cap again needs to be put on here. I'm hoping they're all in there underneath that lid. I did have a mishap with my sprayer since I used it last. It was sitting there for a while and a wind came along, wasn't even much of a wind, and it tipped over. My own carelessness for not maybe tying the thing down. It is quite a peculiar thing and it can tip over quite easy, especially with these booms that kind of go up like angel wings. Kind of can lay the thing on balance, so if you put your finger again it'd nearly fall over. Some people say put antifreeze into it, and that way you don't have to worry about breaking it down. I'm worried about putting antifreeze into it because I was told by a mechanic that if you do that you run the risk of destroying the seals in your pump. So I don't know, I didn't want to take that chance, so that's the reason I break it down. 10 minutes is all it takes, less, and you know then at least there's no water laying anymore. Right, so there's crap in the bottom of these. So the next thing we're going to do is we take these off and we look at them. And if you look up through there you can see the hole. Can you see that? I'm just going to blow around anyway because you can see there's bits of dirt in there and that. Just going to clear that out. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to check every single one of them. Right, that's them all clean. This is our little tank here for washing our hands. It's open at the minute. It used to come with a little small thumb screw on it here for open. It was a disaster. It broke after the first year once the sunlight got at it. So I put one of these boys on it. I purposely broke that lug off, cut it off, so when you turn it, it turns fully. It's easier to turn. You probably haven't seen too many Abbey sprayers. Bought in 2017 and it's been good, apart from the wee things that I've broke on it myself. The booms is heavy on them, like heavy, proper strong booms. The only thing about them is they are quite heavy when they're folded up, and the way that Abbey designed the mounting system for this was no good. Break in your first couple of uses and then they would swing back out behind you, so hence the reason I have a chain there sitting there. You can just see it, and that holds it in place. It makes no difference to me, but it is a wee design flaw. You have a bracket on the other side and you push this one over and you put this little clip, and that's the way the clip was, just a loose clip like that. Now it holds it, yeah, but see if you're going up a hill, look, it will come out and like the boom will move back, and what'll happen is this pin here or this will just completely bend and break off. For the weight of those booms is not enough. They just need to redesign. It actually needs an anchor somewhere here to hold the whole lot together. It's like anything you own or even build, you'd improve on it. But otherwise it's dead on. Right, so we're just off here now to the other farm. We got our sprayer on the back. I actually got a good few paddocks done at home each night. It was quite warm there for the last few days. Around 8 o'clock or so in the evening, when it was just perfect for spraying. There was no wind either, which was great, and I managed to get a nice few of our paddocks done behind the cows. I could see the next morning the Dawkins were well hung over. Let's put it that way. But I'm just looking across here actually. That receding, could do a binette. So I might make an arrangement over the weekend to get our cows out from where they are and get them in there. Do the world of good, taking it out. If it could get slurry on it, that'd be excellent, but that'd be the main thing. Right, so we're in here, and the first thing I noticed is we've got a little bit of wind. Small little bit of wind, but over in this farm it's always got a little bit of wind. But we have to be careful, first of all, see which way it's blowing, because remember we have a fence, there's our cattle there, and they have a fence just splitting this field in two. So we want to make sure that nothing can blow across into the grass that they're already eating. But the wind is actually blowing this way, away from where the cattle are, so we can keep up about 10 feet or more. Just away from that fence. We don't need to go that tight because we will be doing the rest of the field, the lower part as well. So we have a nice selection of cabbage here to deal with. If you remember last year I sprayed this, and I done a video on it when I was spraying it. I sprayed it early on, I think it was before the second cut it was done. I sprayed it with Dockstar. I got a decent kill because I showed it on Facebook what they were like. But the unfortunate thing, they were back even that autumn. They're coming back again, so it didn't have a real good kill, not down to the roots. So what I'm going to do now is we're using 4-front T. Now I've used 4-front T before and get a good kill with it. The only thing about it is, if it's for silage, first cut or second cut or third cut, whatever it is, if you're planning on cutting it for silage, then you shouldn't use 4-front T for that. That's the main reason I used Dockstar the last time. But now we're cutting no more silage of this hill this year. So we're going to hit it with 4-front. And hopefully we get a nice kill. Right, so we're back in the cab here now, it all set up ready to rock. I have let it mix for a while, so we grey lever there in the middle. There's up for spraying, down for mixing. These boys here are all down for spraying. That's them all ready to rock. See the 2 to 3 there. You see the green area? So I try to match my revs with the speed of the tractor. That sits nicely between 2 and 3 there, bar pressure. So that little green area is where you want to try to keep your hour if you can. It's fairly self-explanatory, manual, straightforward. Set this up real quick now. I have been spraying before, so there it is. I've added it already, Abbey Sprayer. That there, by the way, is a 12-meter boom. It's actually 12.1 meters. It's 40 foot exactly in length, and I've allowed the offset between the antenna and the back of this at 9.5 feet, 9.5 feet. So you can do that in meters or feet. You have a selection here, whichever way you want to use it. I didn't bother converting, I just stuck it in 9.5 feet. There you are, Bob's your uncle. Alright, so I've got 3 stripes done across the field there. My phone rung about 6 times, trying to fly a drone as well, so I'm multitasking. Yeah, definitely multitasking. With a nozzle here that's not spraying out properly, so it must have a wee bit of dirt in it. Just have a wee checking it here now. Yeah, there's definitely dirt in it. So if you look up there, you can't see any daylight. And we still got more dirt in it. Right, so now if you look, we have daylight again. That took a while to get that out. The first bit wasn't where the major problem was, it was what was actually stuck on it, a spider leg. And believe it or not, it's more common than you might think. The spiders, when I had it opened, must have crawled in there and had a bit of a hibernation going on. And unfortunately, the hibernation has been rudely awoken. I nearly should have washed the thing out before I put on the end caps. That probably would have solved a lot of our problems, but it's the only one that was stuffed so far, but I'm sure we'll probably get the remnants of the rest of it if it hasn't blown through on some of the other jets. I was starting to go this way thinking that I hadn't this bit done, because I can see the tracks there, but I can't see the tracks here. What I am looking at is the tracks of the dribble bar. Now I can see a set of prints here, and I assume that was from the dribble bar, but not. That was actually from the spray, so I was going to actually nearly spray that second part twice. You see, I have hit start, that's why it's showing red. I don't mind that, you get used to that. But now it'll lay me up where I should be, and that's just here. If I look at down there, I can't see a single thing of what I've done. Not a lane king can I see, because this has been grazed fairly tight and then dribble barred as well, so I don't know where I am, only for this guy here telling me where I am. The red lines is around that drinker, because I've done a circle around it. I can see exactly where I am now. That is good. That's very, very useful. Right, so I finished that field off shortly after I had my lunch. It was a nice dull day, but then the sun came out, which I was glad to see, and a bit of nice blue sky to go along with it. So I didn't do any more, because it's a bad time to spray when the sun is out and in the middle of the day. So I left it for a while, because that was earlier on the day, earlier on in the morning in fact. But it's now gone 7 o'clock this evening, and I'm just after finishing milking, and I want to just use the last wee bit that's in the sprayer. And this is an ideal paddock here that was just ate out about a day ago. I have one more paddock that I'm going to spray tomorrow, and that'll be it. That'll probably do us for this year. I might get the bottom half of that big hill. I would love to get it done. We'll see what the weather's like and how it holds up. So that's what I'm going to do now. Finish this off tonight and we start the next job. Alright, so now we are just actually what I do nearly every day is have a quick look around the farm and see what way our grass situation is. We are in the 6th of September. 7th of September, correction. And we're in autumn. It's hard to believe it. We've had a cracking couple of days now, and 26, 27 degrees actually today are given. But now that we're in autumn, I have to keep a closer eye on what grass is available to our cows. Autumn grazing is pretty important, especially when the weather's good, that we can stretch it out as much as we can. So grass growth will start to soon ease off. At the minute it's walking it with the constant real warm weather that we're having. And like most farmers, I'll always have a plan in my mind where the cows are going probably in the next 4 to 5 days. I'll always be thinking ahead that way. Most farmers would be exactly the same. So I'd be walking by a paddock, say up there, or say a paddock in here, and I know cows will be going in here. It's pretty much nearly ready for grazing now, but probably in about 3 days the cows will be in here. And they will get 4 grazings out of this field, 4 daytime grazings. Then I would be looking across, which I've done already, and the paddock that's just above us behind that hedge, and I know that it'll be in there on such a date as well. The paddocks that are closer to home are the ones I normally keep the cows in at night, so I have a different paddock for night time versus daytime. So I won't be moving fences in the morning. I'll be busy enough in the morning. It just takes a little bit of pressure off, especially when you have to get done for kids to go to school and stuff like that, life. But with the new rules there is now in farming, especially in the derogation that we're in, we have to grass measure. And last year, you might remember, we got this Grasshopper here from True North Technologies, but we've been using it now for the past more than a year. I haven't actually been using it much myself. My girls use it, and that's the handiest part of it. I have put the app on their phone. Normally on a Saturday morning, Nicole will run out here and take the grass measurements for me, which is another job less for me to do. Grass measuring, to put this proper without anybody giving out, there's a lot of farmers have contacted me telling me how good it is when you do it right, and doing it right is the most important thing. But when you do, it gives you a great understanding of what grass is in front of you and a better understanding of what grass is available to you at all times. I agree with that 100%. I like to be straight up, and my opinion would be it is still another job. It is still a job that you have to do, and I'm lucky to have my kids come along now and they're fit to do it for me. Now we have the other system as well, the cut and weigh, which is basically a large square, you may say, you throw on the ground and you cut it with a razor or with like nearly a set of hair clippers, and you throw it into a bag and you weigh it, and it'll tell you the same amount of cover that you have. And it'd probably be more accurate, people would say, than this. I don't know about that. I haven't done a whole pile of the other, but the bit that I did do took time. and I found that I wasn't doing much of it. I was eyeballing the thing just to get it done quicker, and that's been truthful. Another thing is I wouldn't let my girls do the cutting way because I'd be afraid of them taking a hand themselves with them clippers. When that's just where Dad comes into play. They're still quite young, and I just wouldn't like to see that happen. So with this, I know it's safe. I know they can do it, and I know it's going to be accurate enough. It's also much faster as well. So I'm just out and about myself today because we missed doing it the last couple of times, and I'm going to take the recordings myself, so I said I'd take the camera with me. There is a whole video we did on this, and funny enough, this was the same field we started in, I think, but there is a whole video on this. I'll put a link in it if you want to check it out. I'm not going to go through the whole ins and outs of it again because it was all covered pretty well in that video. So for now, the first thing I do is I hold it on the ground till it beeps. There it is, red light. And I get the phone. I have to pick out what field I'm in. I'm going to make my way down there and then come out in kind of a semicircle. You don't have to walk all through the field, but kind of a semicircle, and come out then and finish it. You can take as many samples as you like, but you must kind of have a minimum of 10 samples to get an accurate reading. So 10 samples or more and you have this field done. So paddock cover in here is 1254 kgs, which I would have thought there was less, actually, by looking at it with my eyes. This particular field got the least amount of fertiliser of all our paddocks, so it probably will need a top up after the next grazing. It will get slurry, it needs slurry as well. Once you have the field recorded, that paddock will automatically go blue. Tells you that you haven't recorded. Anything that's green you still have to record, but it's gone blue now. It lets me know that it's done. When they have the grass measurements done, they bring the phone back to me. I look at the covers first to make sure everything's all right, and then I upload that to pasture base. That only takes a couple of seconds. Just literally click a button, upload, and that's it. It's done. And that's your grass measurement took half an hour, 40 minutes. You'd have most of the paddocks done. Depends on your humour, depends how you feel that day. If you're hungover, might take an extra half hour. Right, I'm just in my meadow here. Cows were just out of it 2 days ago, and it's slurried now. You can see the markings of the dribble bar. So it's real watery slurry, so you don't see any big thick markings, but good enough to push it on. Now on this section I'm just covering lots of things that get asked, and just going by the experience that I have. Everybody's different, but in my experience there is this community of people that think that the splash plate is still better than the dribble bar. You know what, the splash plate does have its advantages, but the advantage it had was it didn't steal any power from the tractor. If you have steep ground, which we have, this is the only flat-ish field that we have, but some of our fields are notoriously steep, and yes, the dribble bar is quite tricky on those. You are twisting and turning quite a lot. You're trying to get to the top of the field and coming down rather than going up it, because if you have the dribble bar on, even our tractor, 150 horsepower, it will rob it of all the power that it has. And I've seen several times where I'm going way too slow, and that can be annoying at times. Splash plate, well, wouldn't be as big of an issue. I've often seen where you turn the macerator off and away the tractor go again, no problem at all. So at least 20 horsepower, if not more, gets stolen by the constant running of the macerator. But I definitely can tell you I wouldn't miss the splash plate, only for the bits I've told you about on the steep hills, but otherwise I would not miss it. You look at this field here, and it's a kind of a winter sun now, this shining, a hazy kind of a day. But this field is slurried 2 days ago, and you can see the dribble bar marks here at my feet. But if you look across the field, you'd never know it was slurried. You've got lush, unspoiled green grass. There is no slurry on that grass. If you look down where I took that from, that's the slurry at your feet. Yet you have the grass here that's unspoiled. It's self-explanatory. I know everybody has different opinions on everything, but I'm giving you mine, and that is the advantage. I can have cows back on this as soon as I want to put them back in it, even when there's no rain to wash this in, and this got no rain. If that was a splash pit, well, it'd be obvious the problem you'd have. The whole grass, and you would know this field was slurried because you'd be covered in slurry, it'd have the slurry colour to it, and then you'd have to wait till that gets washed in, regardless how light of slurry you put on, and that takes time. And I've often seen beforehand where cows would go onto fields that would look relatively clean, and they'd be roaring at the gate to get back out again. They could smell it and taste it on the grass. So dribble bars, and regardless brands or makes or whatever you have, makes no difference. The concept of durable bars, they're great, apart from that issue with your steeper ground. So you'll need the horsepower, depending on what size of tank you have of course too, but it will take more horsepower to drive it. Right, so it's about a week later, I'd say, about a week later, since that first clip of the spraying was done. I'm just taking you back in here. I'm actually just coming from the school run. It's just gone 8:30 there now on Wednesday morning. And there we have it. They're laying down now, and I'll tell you one thing, they're not tired. They're just wore out. But it got a good kill, and everywhere I look, the field looks so much better without them. There was other little bits of weeds in as well, and they're also wiped out. We have a nice sprayer grass coming on it as well since you last seen it, if you notice it there. It's growing lovely, but we've had a sight of rain, an absolute sight of rain. And I'm walking through puddles here at the minute as I'm talking to you, and hence the reason I'm using a mic. If you can hear me, don't scratch the mic, Adrian. And hopefully I'm not shouting too loud. I'll turn it down if I am, because I'm used to speaking loud to the camera so you guys can hear me. But can you find that wind? It'll nearly blow you off your feet. We've had practically a storm last night, and it's as wild can be. It's winter weather, that's what it is. One thing I wanted to show you here is I'm just checking my heifers as they're coming up to me. They're grazing out the bottom part here. I'm not going to spray this. I'm going to wait till the springtime, because the actual dockers are starting to yellow on the leaf anyway, and it'd be pointless even spraying them. So I'm going to leave that for now. There's a little wet spot here on this field. It's always been constantly getting wet, and it's a spring that we have that comes up here. Unless the weather's really dry, it'll constantly just wet this little bit of an area, small little tiny area. This is the wee bit of area that can be affected by it. Now there's 9 acres there for the heifers to graze, and the most of it thankfully is fairly dry. This will be a fairly dry field, especially over on the far side, but they found the wet spot and they spend most of the time standing in the wet spot, and they do that for probably 2 reasons. One, they'll let me know where the wet spot is, and 2, they'll let me know where the wet spot is. I'm going to head on home here to get me breakfast. I have 2 very special guests coming to visit me on Friday, who I'm really looking forward to seeing, from the UK, and that is the Funky Farmer and Farmer P. I was talking to Farmer P back a long time ago, and he said he was ever over in Ireland, they were going to come and visit, and the Funky Farmer jumped on board as well. The 2 guys, 2 funny characters. I've been watching them a long time, as probably a lot of you have. They're actually flying over, I think, today or maybe last night, and then they're coming to visit on Friday. So they're coming up, I don't know what time yet exactly they're coming up, but they're staying in a local hotel, which is only 2 miles away from me here. So I'm just going to stand in here, that wind. It's hard to put up with it, it'll blow you off your feet. But yeah, they're coming on Friday, so I'm really looking forward to meeting them. The 2 guys, they would have followed a long time, long before I ever set up a channel. They probably would have been the inspiration of why I would have set up the channel. Well, Jerry 6420, as I said before, would have been, I'll do a pick at him for his John Deere's. He would have been the main man that was behind me starting up this channel. He was very helpful at the beginning and gave me plenty of advice, and he didn't even know who I was that time. Didn't even know I had a Massey that time. Probably regrets it now. When I'm out and about, people come up to you all the time, and a lot of the time one of the speaks to say is, I feel like I know you. I feel like I know you all my life, or I feel like you're part of the house or part of the family because we watch you on a Sunday morning and we know your farm, we know what you do, your routine, your cattle, your machinery, all this kind of stuff. So it's very hard for me to grasp the understanding of that, because I wasn't in that scenario yet. I haven't actually met practically any YouTubers yet. It's one of the downfalls of being on the dairy farm, I suppose. You don't get away as often as you'd like to get away. But now when I probably meet these 2 guys, I'm going to have the same thoughts as you guys have, because I've been watching them all the time. I feel like I know them. I know their family and their farms and everything. They're known in everybody's house, I'd say, at this stage. And yeah, so that's just something to look forward to. Before we do leave it, massive thank you to everybody for all the well wishes. And my mum, that isn't well currently at the moment. She got home last Monday, which was great to get her home. She appreciates all the messages that we got. I showed them to her, and it lifts her. And she can't understand where all these people are, how I know all these people, because she doesn't grasp the whole social media thing. It's not her sort of thing at all. But she's really grateful for them all, and so am I. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next one.